adolescents make bad decisions all the time. You know, kids that
right now
are just showing normal adolescent behavior. We want the kids and their family to be able to access resources without coming into the criminal justice system, which can have negative impacts for them in the future.
You know, the research shows jail and the court system in general is bad for kids, especially kids who shouldn't be considered criminals. But right now, the state's largest county doesn't have options for them outside the juvenile system or they're in the child care welfare system. That's why Ada County is creating a new option to prevent those kids who shouldn't be behind bars from landing there. Morgan Romero introduces us to the bridge.
So right now we are in the administrative hallway for detention. There are two ways that youth can come into the facility, and one might be the door that we came through if they're coming in and turning themselves in on a juvenile warrant. And then we would walk right into the booking area. We recognize that for many of these youth, this might be the worst day of their life.
The day a teen gets put behind bars can traumatize them.
This is a holding cell.
There was a time in the not too distant past when Ada County's juvenile detention facility was packed. Today,
the way we're doing business is changing a little bit, which is a good thing.
The number of inmates in the 71-bed facility off Liberty Street in Boise hovers in the single digits.
The numbers have been down a lot. We know that we need a detention facility for high criminal risk youth, but a lot of the youth that are not high criminal risk, we want to steer away from the detention facility and keep them connected to the community.
But if there's nowhere else to take those kids, law enforcement will often book them in jail.
We know detention's bad for kids. It stigmatizes kids. Kids are actually more likely to commit an additional crime if they have been incarcerated prior to processing in court.
Ada County Juvenile Services Director Alison Tate knows what the research shows.
Being in court at all tends to have poor outcomes for kids. They're less likely to be employed in the future, takes them away from their education, from any contacts that they have in the community.
So, starting in a few months, instead of going to jail, Tate wants low-risk kids to come to the bridge. That's Ada County's new Youth and Family Resource Center. Inside, the county will be able to screen and assess kids, figure out what they need, and then connect them and their families with community-based services. The point is to keep kids out of the criminal justice system. Ada County received a $610,000 grant from the Idaho Department of Juvenile Corrections.
It will allow us to purchase a modular building to put very close here to the juvenile court and detention facility, but separate from the facility.
It'll be put in this parking lot Ada County already owns, across from the juvenile facility. The National Assessment Center Association best practices show these centers save law enforcement time, improve coordination between agencies working with kids, and get kids and their families help faster.
We want to get to kids and families before they hit the crisis point.
Families and Youth of Idaho.
This has to be a piece of our system.
Through their support behind this plan.
You know, the Surgeon General has declared we have a youth mental health emergency in the United States. So we've got to be focusing our community efforts on how do we help youth deal with what the stresses of life today are.
Because they work with kids struggling with mental health, Executive Director Ruth York expects Ada County's new center to refer kids and families to her organization.
Not all children with youth with mental health issues get in trouble with the law, but some do because they're acting out behaviorally because all is not right in their world. And what's important is to recognize that these youth need mental health support, not legal punishment.
For York, this issue hits home.
This is something I experienced in my family, where I had a youth who was experiencing more trouble in his life behaviorally that was ending up with legal punishments versus getting the mental health care he needed. And so, I really feel like we could have changed the course of his life.
The county can reach out to families to set up an appointment at the center, or they can just walk in.
The idea is that there's no wrong door. Anyone can come and get help.
Law enforcement also plays a key role.
When people call, law enforcement's going to respond. That's the way the system is set up. but we're finding better ways to do things.
Meridian's police chief says they'll be able to take or refer kids to the center while responding to a call or through school resource officers.
Once they're in the system, they tend to stay in the system. And oftentimes, you know, we see that. We see somebody that we've dealt with as a child and they're still in the system as an adult.
Ada County plans to open its Youth and Family Resource Center here on this property in the spring. It'll accept limited law enforcement referrals starting in February.
We think it's a game changer. You know, we think that this is going to be a transformation of the youth justice system here in Ada County.
The kids are our future, right? We cannot have lives waylaid inappropriately, and children need to be able to maximize their full potential. And if we interrupt that by taking them down paths that are not helping them to do that, then we're just we're hurting our future.
Morgan Romero, Idaho's News Channel 7.
The Idaho legislature approved the money the Department of Juvenile Corrections awarded to Ada County. Ada is one of 8 Idaho counties that did receive one of these grants. Other states have similar youth resource centers, and this model is proven to work. Data shows 90% of kids referred to these facilities in Las Vegas never enter the formal criminal justice system.